my friends. This week I made over $100,000 trading Forex from here in Aspen, Colorado. My wife and I decided Texas was too hot, so we said, screw this. We just left. We had no plan. We literally had to book our hotel like 2 hours before getting here. And I was able to trade last week, and it was two simple trades. I'm going to show them to you here in this video. So let's go ahead and head over here to my free Telegram channel. I'll put the link in the description of this video and in the pinned comment. It's just a place where I've shared all my live trades and analysis and insights and everything for the past 8 years. That is right. Since summer of 2018, I have been sharing my trades in here. And we're now in June of 2026 now. It's kind of wild. I've been running this for almost a decade. You can see here I started this account about 7 months ago with a $350,000 deposit. I've made over $700,000 in profit. And then whenever you deduct the swaps and commissions, it brings the total account balance with the deposit and the profit minus the fees to $880,000. So currently in this account, I'm sitting at about just over $880,000. And at one point, it got all the way up to $900,000. I'm trying to grow this account to $1 million, and then I'm going to withdraw half of it. That'll be about 500 grand. I'm going to pay $200,000 in capital gains tax, roughly, and then I'll have 300K for myself, and then I'm going to grow the 500K to 1.5 million. I'm going to do it over and over and over again, and I'm doing it all live right here in Telegram and in my Discord server. So here is what I want to do today. I'm just going to cover 2 simple trades that I took last week, and then we're going to go over very, very simple analysis for next week, going into next week, because my wife and I are about to go on a hike here. So let's go ahead and get this. Let's go ahead and knock this out real quick. So the first trade I took was a sell on USD CHF. Why did I take a sell on USD CHF? Because price was at a resistance zone. Now I did something interesting with this trade. Okay, I added to it. I added to a winning trade. I will sometimes add to losing trades. I will sometimes add to winning trades. It just kind of depends on what the situation is. But let me show you exactly how I managed it right here. There's a picture of my wife and I. This was Colorado Springs, Garden of the Gods, hanging out with my dog and my wife. Okay, so here it is. I'm short on USD CHF as planned. Now this trade was planned for about almost a month. I think it was, yeah, a couple of weeks, like almost, I think 4 weeks. And I shared the analysis here week after week after week here in the free Telegram channel. So again, make sure you're in there. It's literally completely free. You could be here in like the next 5-10 seconds at the link in the description and the pinned comment. I'll put it there. But I shared this trade in there, and I shared the analysis, and I shared all the planning and everything for it. So if you're somehow missing these trades after how much I share for free, I really don't know what to tell you. There's nobody on YouTube that has a simpler trading approach than me. The only simpler approach than mine, which is buying at support, selling at resistance on the daily and weekly time frames. The only simpler approach would be just literally to blindfold yourself and enter random trades on your computer, on your trading terminal. And, mine's not that simple, but, we have to look at the chart. We draw up some little stupid rectangles, and then we buy at support and sell at resistance. It's very, very simple. So I sold here at resistance on the weekly time frame. This is a weekly resistance zone, right? So price had broken into here, it had tested as support once, twice. We broke below, came back up, found resistance a second time, and then we came all the way back up in here again, finally, after like a month of waiting, and then we were able to get into a sell here at this zone. I want you to look at how I structured the risk for this trade. I put the stop loss above the zone, and I put the take profit below the zone, 1-to-1 risk reward ratio. Now, what I do whenever I trade is I risk high dollar amounts per trade. Now, of my trading capital, I have millions of dollars in trading capital, and I allocate it, I kind of split it up into equities, crypto, and then Forex trading. And of the capital I have allocated to Forex trading, I put a portion of that into an account. That way, in case the account blows, I just have more money to put into the account, and it's never a big deal. I don't blow an account very often with the risk structure that I'm using currently, but it could still happen technically if I somehow lose, like, I think 8 to 10 trades in a row. And that would be very shitty. But most of the time, if a trade starts to lose, I get out early, so it's not a big deal. So of the capital I have allocated to Forex, I put a portion of that, which was $350,000, into an account back in last like September or October. I think it was like 7-8 months ago, 7.5 months ago maybe. And I put a $350,000 deposit, and I've been growing that account ever since. So if we get it to $1 million, it'll be basically having tripled the account over the course of like less than a 12-month period, which is, I mean, in my opinion, that's phenomenal. I'd be happy to get like 20-30% returns per year. But then again, it's not that on my trading capital. It's just on that capital that's allocated to Forex and on that smaller amount of capital, which is actually in the trading account. But still, if I can get to the end of the year making like a net profit of anywhere from $500,000 to $1 million just from Forex, not even counting crypto and equities, that's a good year for me. And I'm super happy. So With this right here, sold at resistance, I put a stop above, target below, 1-to-1 risk reward ratio, and I risked $100,000 on this trade. Again, for me, that's appropriate for my risk structure. And yes, it may be a large portion of the account, but again, keep in mind, I've been trading for a decade. I've made millions of dollars in Forex, crypto, and stocks, and I've been profitable for the past 8 years out of the decade that I've been in trading. So for me, $100,000 risk on high quality trades, and then $50,000 of risk on trades that are still worth taking, but they might not just be like as high quality. So anyway, I did that. Things started to go into a little bit of profit, right? So we had USD CHF start to go into profit. Then 2 days ago at the Garden of the Gods, and then this happened. It went to more profit, so $50,000 of profit. And then something interesting happened. So this is where I added to this trade. So I believe this was 2 days ago, the 25th. Today's the 27th. So 2 days ago, what happened is price broke below this little zone here, and you can see this is a lower time frame. This is a 1 hour. So on the 1 hour / 4 hour, price broke below the recent zone it was at, came back up and tested and started to bounce. So here's what I did. Here's how I added to this winning trade. Okay, and I want you to pay close attention because it's not that complicated, but you need to understand exactly all the mechanics behind it. So the idea behind support and resistance is that at the major price levels, the major barriers where price has shown that it's bounced in the past, like daily and weekly support resistance zones that are super blatantly obvious. The idea is that if it starts to bounce from there, of course, along the way, you're going to have lower time frame zones get created. And those are going to get created in real time as price develops and starts either moving against you or sideways or into profit from your position. So what happened here is price came back into a level where it previously bounced a couple times as support on the lower time frames. I consider H1 and H4 lower time frames, given that I do swing trading. And then what it had done is after bouncing a support, it actually broke below and then it came back to retest that as resistance. This is simply a break and retest of a support resistance zone. And we don't even have to call it break and retest. We can just call it, broke below zone, sure, but it came back up and now we're testing as resistance. So here's how I added to this trade in a very nicely structured way. Now, I added a trade right here. You'll notice my entries for trades are always in these zones. That's why, if price is going to bounce out of zone, I always enter inside the zones. I don't wait for it to bounce away from it. I don't try to do anything like that. I make sure that if it gets into a zone and then starts to reverse, I just enter a trade there at the zone. And so for this, we came here into the zone, and then this is resistance here a couple times in the past, and then it was also support here 1, 2, 3 times recently. Before we came back up here, couldn't break past the weekly resistance zone, came all the way back, slashed below, then came all the way back up and had a nice deep retest of the zone with some rejection here on the 1 hour. After that happened, I entered this trade right here where I basically added this position. Now, what was the risk for this trade? Okay, here's how it works. I entered this and I risked an additional $10,000 on this. Okay, that's 10% of the original risk for the initial set of trades. And so the original set of trades, I had $100,000 risk. For these positions, I know it's more likely to stop out, right? Because it's a lower time frame zone. You can have price have volatility spikes and liquidity sweeps past those zones. It's just more common, right? It's on the weekly, daily, maybe not as much, but on this, certainly on the 1 hour, 4 hour, you're gonna have more of those just pins past the zones, even on gaps and spreads and things like that during session changeover or market close. And I recognize that. So anytime I take a trade that I'm adding to a trade on a lower time frame, I generally have to just risk less on it. So I already had these winning trades in profit. That was great. So what I did is I kept the same thing for the bigger picture trades in the weekly. I kept the same entries, same stop, same target. But for these lower time frame trades, I entered right here, put a stop just above this little lower time frame zone, and then I only risked 10K. So 10K compared to $100,000 risk for these initial setups up here. This is basically just 10% of what the other risk was. So the risk increased from $100,000 to $110,000. However, I had my profit target set at the same location as where my initial trading opportunities were. So these cells up here, right, the stop was way above here. You can't even see it on the terminal right there. $100,000 risk, and the take profits down here would represent $100,000 profit. So what happened is as it started to move into profit, I was able to enter this right here. I put a stop above the zone 10K risk, but I just set the TPs at the same location as the previous entries. What does this mean? It means two things. So the first thing is that my wife is back here. My wife is here watching me yell into the camera for YouTube. So the first thing is that the risk goes from 100K to 110K. I can live with that. The second thing happens is if it happens to work, which it does not, more than half the time in this case, because the risk rewards are skewed. If it happens to work though, right? If these were to win, I would have made an extra $50,000 to $60,000. So it increases my winning potential from 100,000 to about 150, 160,000, depending on what swaps and commissions are. And so, however, if I lose, my worst case scenario is $110,000 risk. But really, I probably would be getting out before I got anywhere near the stop losses for the first initial entries. So it's not really that big of a deal. Okay, so it's like my risk might have been effectively maybe 50K is what it would have come out to be if I'd closed early. So 50K risk for a potential 150K or more profit. That's a good risk structure for me, right? I'll take that bet given the context. So after I entered right here, what ended up happening? This was what it looked like at the time: $12,000 of profit. So, and then we had USD CHF right here. These are the additional positions. These were the first layer of entries that were in about $40,000 of profit. And then I put it right here, right? So 7:26 p.m. This is in my Discord server. This is a paid subscription Discord server. I'm not going to give you the link to join it. I'm not going to give you a link to subscribe to it. You'll have to join my free Telegram channel first and follow me there for a while. And every now and then, maybe like once a week, I post a link to join the Discord server in the Telegram. And again, it's a subscription, it's a paid server. I'm giving you everything for free though. I'm showing you step by step here in this YouTube video, and then I share the analysis and everything live on my Telegram channel. And if you just want the exact trades in real time, timestamp, the exact management updates, every single thing I do with the risk structure, that's all in the Discord. But again, I'm not giving you a link. You have to go and find it for yourself in the Telegram. This means that you have to consume my free content first. That way you know how I trade, and then you can see whether or not it relates to you and makes sense to you, which, I mean, it's simple as hell. I don't know how it wouldn't make sense, but you can do all that. You can figure it out. And then if you want to join the Discord server to get my exact trades, the link's in the Telegram channel. Okay, I post it in there like maybe once a week, twice a week sometimes. So I added here to USD CHF, and I put, I've risked 10K for the new set of entries, placed the stop directly above the lower time frame zone. Same target as the initial entries, and this will be around a $60,000 additional profit if they hit. The stops for the original entries remain in the same location, and nothing about those initial entries were modified. So you can see I always put a screenshot of my trading terminal for the chart terminal, and I also put the P&L terminal as well. That way you can see margin, free margin. You can see the entries, the lot sizes, the layers of entries, the P&L, the time, every single thing is put right there. This is just for transparency, because there's a lot of fucking idiots who like share their trades live, and they just put the trading view screenshot, and they don't actually show like what their actual terminal is. Like I show my live terminal and every single thing, timestamped, every single update. You can literally see this whole account trading history if you come and join this group and scroll all the way back up 7-8 months ago when I started it. You can see the deposit, you can see all the trades I've called during that time. It's a very easy way to see how I trade live and how things were managed. So this was the next day. This was yesterday at 4 a.m. You can see right here what happened is from the moment I entered, the price had a little pin further into the zone, then it came back, and then it came down and went into profit, and then this is where it was currently sitting whenever I woke up at 5 a.m. The profit that I was seeing right here was $88,000. I mean, so that was quite a bit of money, right? So, and then Euro GBP, the other one, went into profit too. We'll talk about that here in a second. But this went to a nice profit. And then as it started to come down even more, this was a couple hours after that, right? So maybe from 4 or 5 a.m. to almost 8 a.m. You could see what happened here was that price started to dip and come far into this zone. And then once we got here into this little support zone here, I looked at this and I saw, okay, we're almost to the profit target. We've got all of our entries in a pretty big profit, right? Like $120,000, $115,000 of profit. The take profit level is just below, and where price is currently bouncing was at this little support zone here. Now, this is just a 1 hour support zone, right? It's not like it's that relevant on the daily or weekly, but given the context, okay, the price action of it coming in this zone, starting to bounce. The second thing being we're in 4 positions, right? So not 4 technically, 2 positions. The initial layer of entries and the second layer of entries. So 2 positions, multiple trades within each position, because I can't use more than 75 standard lots per entry. Okay, so we've got a lot of fucking profit. Okay, shit ton of profit. And it's Friday and the market closes like, yesterday, because it was yesterday when I posted this. So it's like the market's going to close, the spreads are going to widen, we're going to have to pay swap fees. We may have to wake up to gaps whenever the market reopens on Sunday at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time in Texas where I live. And all this shit could happen. So I'm like, okay, do I really want to risk all that for the extra little bit of additional profit? Or am I cool with just calling it a good trade here? Okay. I decided it was just good enough to just call it as a trade there. Now, generally speaking, you want to hold your trades to the take profit. Generally speaking, it is a bad habit to start closing winning trades early. Usually it's the worst habit whenever you're closing winning trades early when they barely go into profit. If you have trades where they almost go to the profit target and then you make a context-based decision using your discretion and judgment, it'd be like, look, based on the totality of the circumstances, it might be a better idea to just get the fuck out right now. Like, it's a winning trade. Everything went. It's almost to the profit target. I was able to add, if this starts coming back, I'm going to give back like $100,000 of profit. In some cases, it's just a better decision to manage the trade and get out a little bit early. It's a better habit to start closing your losing trades early before it hits the stop. And it's a better habit to hold your winning trades a little longer, okay? This is one of the few instances where I close a winning trade early. Okay, cool. So I closed this trade. I elected to close it right here. Now you can see my terminal looked like this at the moment I closed it. Equity was at 900,000 in the account. Open P&L was $130,000. So I closed it right there. And I put, this is where things are currently at. USD CHF is starting to bounce here at the support level. I think she'll likely continue down, but I can't ignore this little bounce here and the risk with the current huge open profit. Risk was 100K and USD CHF alone is up 116K. So I'm closing USD CHF here. So I did. I closed USD CHF there. And you can, if you add up the full positions, it basically came out to like $115,000 profit. After the fees and commissions, it was like 108,000 or 100 and yeah, I think I put it right here. So $108,000 after the murderous fees and swaps. So I ended up closing it right there, and then I remained in this Euro GBP position for a couple more hours before closing it. We'll talk about that here in a second. So I want to break down again what I did on USD CHF, because so far this whole video basically has been just talking about USD CHF. The reason I'm giving you so much like autistic levels of detail is because I want you to be able to understand the explanations and see the context and the thought that goes into it. It's very easy to just post the blue P&L terminal screenshots and brag that I made $100,000 on a vacation in Aspen without actually giving like some useful information and a useful explanation that's actually practicable, where you can take that and apply it and use it for your next sets of trades. Okay, and remember, trading is risky. Most people lose money. This video is just for entertainment purposes only. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. You shouldn't even be trading because most people are just going to lose money. But if you're stupid enough and crazy enough to learn trading, my wife always laughs at me because like my whole business model is to like, you know, teach people how I trade, right?
And tell them not to trade.
Yeah, and then I literally tell you like, but you actually shouldn't trade. And you actually shouldn't listen to me, and everybody actually loses money. So you shouldn't do it. So it's kind of a weird like, you know, business model versus what I have to say. So my wife just thinks it's funny. I've somehow still built up a business and been trading profitably for years, and I tell people you shouldn't trade, bro. Okay, so with that being said, I spent all this time covering USD CHF because I want you to see all the insight and the explanations behind it. Okay, that is the whole point of this video, is just to show you the reasons why, so you can figure out what the fuck to do yourself for the next time. So that was USD CHF. Now, what we're gonna do right here is we're gonna briefly cover Euro GBP. I'm not going to go into as much detail because all the same mechanics apply. So instead, I'm just going to put it really, really simply. Euro GBP came to a major support zone on the daily chart. I bought at the support. I put a stop loss nice and far below the support zone, and I put a target at 1-to-1 risk reward ratio. Price went sideways for a couple days. I think it was almost a trading week, and then it started to go into profit, and then it came back really, really quickly, and I just decided it would be a better decision to close around break even yesterday. So let's go ahead and get into this. So I had called this trade out earlier here. You can see here live, you know, if you're in the Discord server, just scroll back, you can find it. And it was right here. Here it is. Okay. So this was 6/23/26. So yeah, just a couple days before. So I bought Euro GBP here at this daily support zone. Why? It's at a daily zone where prices had aggressive, quick bounces, like basically every time it's been there. I think this is going to probably break here pretty soon because we're making lower highs, but it's still viable for a trading opportunity because, you know, the daily zone where price has been bouncing a lot. So this was the original entry right here. I had entered right here. I was also in a Euro USD trade, but that was the week before. And for that, I was long on Euro GBP there at the support as planned. And so this was that Euro USD trade. Euro USD was the same thing as Euro GBP. I bought at the weekly support zone. It broke below. I closed it before the stop loss. Stop loss was 50K. The place I closed it was about 30K. So I was able to take maybe, you know, 2/3 of the actual loss instead of it actually having it hit stop. And I believe it would have hit stop. So that was Euro GBP. So literally there was no updates on Euro GBP that whole time. It was just holding it. Then what I elected to do was I elected to close it right here. So I'll show you why. This is still the daily chart, but we're just zoomed in a little bit. So you can see my entry was right there at the support zone. We went below the zone a little bit, had some quick, you know, bullish candlesticks closing bearish here on the daily. Then we spiked up like more than halfway to the profit target, right? This at one point was up $30,000 of profit because it's 50K risk, 50K potential profit. Then it came all the way back and it was starting to fall really quickly on the 1 hour chart. Given the fact that we had just had a big winner on USD CHF, and given the fact that this shit has taken days, broke a little bit below the recent lows, you know, it technically didn't invalidate. It was still bouncing at the weekly zone, but it broke a little bit below the recent lows here on the daily. And then we had this huge rejection. I just decided, you know what, Euro GBP is being a bit too much of a pain in the ass, in my opinion, so I just elected to close it. So you can see right here, this was everything. I'm on the 1 hour, but you can see that's the major zone there. You can see this is where we broke a little bit below the zone, but we were still valid because we pushed up and closed bullish on the daily. We went into huge profit right here. That at that point was about 60% of the way to the profit target. Profit target was just above here. Then we came all the way back really quickly. On these candles, as we were coming back, I believe it was the second candle here. You can go check every single thing in Discord because it's all timestamped. Everything's right there, full trading history, everything. You can go check, but I basically closed like right here as it was coming back. And it was, I mean, I'm just going to call it a break-even trade. I mean, yeah, I think I made a couple thousand. Yeah, I made like, $3,000-$4,000 on it. But this trade right here, you can see the open profit was over 8,000, but the fees and commissions really like wiped out a lot of that. So I ended up closing that there. She went into huge profit halfway to the target, then she rejected quickly and came back to the entry. I think the best decision here is to exit. We're coming into the weekend market close, and I don't want to keep getting hammered with swap fees and gaps, especially on a trade that just seems to be going sideways. And then I finished this yesterday at 10:30 a.m., right? So I was actually done trading before we got anywhere near the market close yesterday. Got to enjoy my day hiking with my wife. We're about to bust our ass on another trail here in Aspen, the Ute Trail. Ute. Is it Ute? Ute. The UTE Trail, Ute. We're gonna go to fucking Ute Rock up this like 1,000 feet elevation and less than a mile trail. So yesterday we were hiking, but I posted right here. Here's my current terminal, no open trades, a massive trading week. The account is 1 to 2 good trades away from the $1 million growth target. And the too long didn't read. I always post this here for clients that, like they're working or they're busy or it's in the middle of the night and they're just trying to quickly see what the actions are to do. I generally post a TLDR, which is just like, all right, I closed this, no open trades. That way you don't even have to read all this other shit until you have time later. Same thing here with USD CHF, right? I posted all these screenshots, I posted the explanation, and to be fair, it's not that much, but I always post a TLDR when it's long like that. So that way people are like, okay, if too long, I didn't read, I didn't have time to read. I have closed USD CHF and I continue to hold Euro GBP. And for you grammar Nazis, I forgot to put the D there. I have closed USD CHF, sir. Okay, so that's why I do the TLDR. It just makes it easier for people who are following my live trades here in Discord. And that was the trading week. It was an amazing, phenomenal trading week. This right here, so this has everything except for the Euro GBP trade, right? But that was only like $4,000 profit, right? So it's basically the same shit here. This is it. So this is the past 7.5 months live. I've also made YouTube videos on my channel here documenting every single one of these trades. When I say every single one, I mean like 90% of them. There might have been one or two that I like just didn't cover, or maybe a couple, right? Because there's been like, I don't know how many trades, like maybe 50 to 100 trading opportunities. But 90% of the trades or more I've covered here in this YouTube channel, and every single trade I've taken has been covered here in the Discord server because it is all timestamped live. Not one of these trades that you see here was taken and managed and closed without being called here in this Discord server. Every single thing is timestamped and called in real time, and you can go back as long as this fucking server will go back all the way into when I started this account, and you can see every single thing, all the growth, all the entries, all the exits, all the losses, all the break-even periods, the P&L. Every single thing is in here documented live in real time, because I believe the only way you can really know whether or not someone can trade in today's world where you can fucking manipulate and fake everything, the only way to do it is to trade live in real time. So that's why literally for years it's the only thing I've done. That's why 8 years ago I started my free Telegram channel, which by now you really need to just be joining this at the link in the description of the pinned comment. My God, it's fucking free. Just join it. I just literally post everything in here. I made it a point 8 years ago to start this channel as basically as a personal trading journal for myself. But then what I did is I started just posting analysis every day, and it turned into something that just for the past nearly a decade, I've just been sharing my live trades and analysis. And again, you can see everything was called here in real time. So look at this right here. This was USD CHF, and this was June 17th. Okay, so this is June 17th. We're in June 27th. This was 10 days ago. If you look at this chart, this is the daily chart. And remember, this is the USD CHF trade that I spent like 15 minutes explaining at the beginning of this video. All of this was shared live. Remember how it came up to here and I was like, look, okay, if it comes up here, I'm going to be selling, guys. I'm going to be selling at that resistance zone. And then boom, when it actually happens, right, I put my money where my mouth is. Generally speaking, right? If sometimes if it breaks past the zone immediately, I'm not going to enter a trade like that. But it came up here into the resistance zone and then I entered a sell. Where the fuck did I enter the sell at? Where was it at? I just showed you guys in here a bit ago. Okay, anyway, but you can see where the hell it was. Was it right here? Here it is. Okay. We pushed up here into the zone and then I entered a sell at the resistance zone. So it's like, I plan all this stuff out. I make sure that I'm like sharing the analysis live in real time, as well as any adjustments or updates, because things do change based on the context. So every single thing is shared live in here. Now, here's what I'm going to be doing. for the rest of this video, which will be very, very brief. I promise. I know I say that sometimes. I just like to make sure I explain everything in detail. So sometimes shit's just not brief, okay? Sometimes there's nuance and there's subtleties. Sometimes you gotta give 2% of a shit. And you actually have to apply yourself. You can't just say, Nick, I only have 10 seconds. What do I trade? Go fuck off. If that's what you only had 10 seconds to learn how to trade, get the fuck away from my YouTube channel. But, okay, so that is just to get your attention to say, we're going to cover the trades for this coming trading week, coming into the video. My wife is like, how have you built $1 million business? Yelling at people on YouTube, telling them to get the fuck away from you. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's cover these right here, and we'll be pretty brief about it. So USD CHF, I'm currently not looking to take any more short positions. This little tiny move over the course of basically 2-3 days was able to make me $100,000. I don't know if I'm going to be looking to short it again, though. I might, you know what I might do? I'm going to set an alert here just to see if we get up here. If we can get up here into this like extreme where that previous high went up there, I might take a small position, maybe like a 50K risk position. But we'll see. Euro GBP, I'm currently not looking to do anything at this moment, so I'm going to drag Euro GBP to the naughty list. Euro USD, I don't see anything right now. We broke below this zone. This was my loss last week for, what was it? This was a trade I took actually the week before last, but I closed it, I think, the beginning of last week at some point. Everything was timestamped there in Discord, and also, I guess, in the Telegram channel. You can go and see all the P&L history. But it broke below the zone. I closed at a 30K loss. Looks like it came back up, testing as resistance. This might be headed to the downside, and I think that would kind of line up with Euro GBP headed to the downside as well. USD JPY, I'm still not going to be shorting USD JPY here at this resistance zone. I'm not liking the price action. I'm not liking that we're coming up into this zone, and there's like, where the hell are the sellers at? If we were going to bounce, where's everybody at? Everybody's fucking around. Nobody's selling right here, right? We just have bullish candles and bullish wicks coming up into the zone. So I will not be shorting this, even though technically it's a valid setup. Based on the context and the price action, I don't think it's something that's, this is not something I want to take. And you know what? I hope I'm wrong. If you're selling USD JPY and you think it's going to drop, yeah, I hope it drops. Cool. GBP Canadian dollar. I am not looking for anything here until price gets into this resistance zone up here. And if I do enter that, I'll have my entry somewhere here at the zone, and my stop will be above that high. So stop might be like somewhere like, you know, in this region, right here above the zone. Take profit at 1-to-1 risk reward ratio. And this looks pretty good for next week. We'll see if it can get up there though. Next one up is AUD Canadian dollar. Nothing on here. We've already bounced away from the zone. And then we have GBP USD. Nothing from me personally here. Some people have said, Nick, it's at a support zone. Do you think it could bounce there? And I'm like, yeah, it could bounce, but I'm not completely sure. And there's some other setups that I think are a little bit better right now. USD Canadian dollar is broken above the resistance zone. There's nothing to do here. I don't see anything for now. GBP JPY, if we get back up into this resistance zone, I am looking to sell still. We've been planning this for a month. CHF JPY, if we can come all the way down here in the support zone, I think this would be an amazing trade. This could set up next week. We'd have to have a couple aggressive daily candles going down into the zone. But this could set up next week. I'm going to be looking to buy there. Stop below and target above. Updates will be shared in Telegram. All right, so let's click back through everything. So AJPY, nothing. We're pretty far away. I don't see any clear enough zone for me here to make me want to take a trade. I don't like that we've had all this shit here with it going above and back and forth. So I'm going to be leaving this one alone for now. But if we come here into resistance, I'll look to sell. Euro USD, we already covered that. USD JPY, we covered that. Euro AUD did not come all the way down here to the support zone like I kind of wanted her to. She ended up just finding support, making some higher lows, and is now bouncing. And looks like she's trying to break the little recent high here. The next zone that I see for Euro AUD is right here. We don't know when or if price is going to get here. I think this is a pretty clear zone. Just based on that standalone high by itself, price came there, struggled to get past it, fell pretty hard. If you want to extend it further here and you want to include like that low right there where it bounced and then a break and retest here, that's perfectly fine. I think this is a valid region to sell just because of that previous high alone. We came up here, we paused, we tried multiple days for like almost a week to get past, failed, came back down. I think if we get back up there again, it'd be a great spot to sell. I would still also look to buy if it came back down here into the support zone. I think it looks good. GBP NZD is similar to GBP Canadian dollar. I'm waiting on price to get here in the resistance zone, and it looks like we're getting pretty close. GBP CAD looks like this. You know, we need like a little push up here in the resistance zone, and then a little fall. And GBP NZD looks like this. So, I mean, getting pretty close. This is probably, I'm going to put this really high up on the list, and we're going to see what happens. Yeah, GBP NZD is looking really good. GBP NZD is looking very, very good. So I'm just telling you right now, timestamped in real time, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time from Aspen, Colorado, even though we're technically in mountain time, on June 27th, 2026. GBP NZD looks decent, you know, and I might sell there if we get up there in the zone, as long as we don't break past it immediately. If we get up there, we have a little bit of rejection, like on the 1 hour, got a couple candles pausing, momentum slowing down. I'll be looking to sell there with a stop above and a target below. All right, let's finish up the analysis. AUD USD. So I have a client who's also looking to trade this. One of my clients is actually who messaged me about this. AUD USD is a trade I'm looking to take this coming week, and we're basically already here at the zone, but I'm waiting for a little bit more just to be a little bit safer with the entry. It is a clear resistance zone. 1, 2, 3, 4 times, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Broke above, came back, found support there for a second, kind of high, but really the zone I'm looking at is down here. So we found support basically once or twice here at the zone. I'm waiting for price to get here down to this low, and I'm going to set my alert right there. And if we can have just a little quick spike down to that region, I'm going to be looking to buy. I don't think Euro USD looks good right now, but I think that AUD USD looks decent right now, just from a risk structure perspective. We can enter there at the zone, have a stop below the zone right here, you know, somewhere in this region, have a target at 1-to-1, and then we can just manage the risk based on whatever happens as the trade develops. AUD USD looks pretty good. I'm going to be looking to take this next week. I'm going to actually move it up here to the top, just under GBP NZD. Actually, to the very top. It's a pretty good setup. Euro GBP, nothing. We already covered that. NZD USD, nothing from me personally. We'd have to come really far down in here to like this previous set of lows down here, and then potentially we could bounce. But I think right now AUD USD looks a little bit better. Euro JPY, nothing for me. NZD JPY, nothing for me. GBP AUD, nothing for me. CAD JPY, nothing for me. Euro Canadian dollar, nothing for me. And this concludes the weekly, what would you call this video? Weekly recap and weekly outlook video for next week. I love you all so much. If you're not in the free Telegram channel, get the fuck in there. The link's in the description and the pinned comment. It's literally free. If you don't like it, you think it's bullshit, you could join in there, you can scroll, you look through it for 60 seconds. If you think it's retarded, you can just leave. It's cool. You don't have to give me your email address. You don't have to do any, you just literally click a fucking link and it takes you there and you can see for yourself. I'm doing everything I can to make this as easy as possible for you to learn how I trade for free here on my YouTube channel and for free on my Telegram channel. And the only thing I charge for is my Discord server where I share every single detail live in real time. And if you're interested in that and following my trades live in real time and doing like an onboarding call with my team where you can ask them questions and you can DM me in Discord, not like a million times a day, but like, you know, a couple times a week. If you have questions, you can DM me in Discord and I'll respond to you. I'll either type your response or send you like a detailed audio message answering your question. So it's a good way to just get that little bit of extra if you just want some extra love and TLC from me and my team. So with that being said, thank you so much for watching the video. If you liked this video and if you ended up hitting the like button, sweet, that's awesome. And if you want to leave a comment and ask me something, I'll try to respond to like comments that I think will be useful for most people in the first 24 to 48 hours when I'm not hiking and dying from leg cramps and oxygen deprivation on the mountains here in Colorado. I will see you guys in the next video. Have a good one, my friends. Cheers.